Today's video I'll be showing you how I replace the glass on an Apple Watch. This is a Series 4, this is the 40mm. As you can see, the screen is fairly cracked here. A customer sent me this phone all the way from Israel, all the way to Utah in the USA. Here's what the watch will look like when we're done. Nice and perfect, finished, working, looking great. Let's go ahead and see how we do this and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the display. This is done by removing the stickers here. There's 3 stickers covering up each one of the connectors. They're a little sticky and hard to get off. Just be gentle and patient with them and you'll eventually get them up. If they tear, it's not a big deal. You don't serve for much, really, just to protect those little joints a little bit there. So we'll go ahead and pull those off. Disconnect the 3 connectors very gently, and then pull straight back. You want to make sure these connectors slide straight out, not up. Some glass left on the screen there. We'll go ahead and remove that later. Alright, the next thing that we need to do is tape up this screen so we can get it so that the glass doesn't fall apart. Here you can see that it's the Series 4, 40mm there. It's a little hard to see. Alright, here's the screen. I'm going to take my heat plate here, and we're going to, one of the things that I like to do is take a piece of tape and cover up the holes that I don't need to optimize the vacuum power that I have there on the heat plate. That's a little trick that I've been using for a while. And go ahead and line up our screen and get it heating and sucked down so that it doesn't move. Next thing we're going to do is take our wire. Right, this is some very thin 0.04mm millennium wire that I use to cut in between the digitizer and the glass. So go ahead and start on that corner there. Carefully work our way in between the glass and the digitizer. Now I noticed that my mat was moving a little bit, so here in a second I'm gonna go ahead and tape it down. I don't want it moving a whole lot, so we'll back our wire out, get a piece of tape, tape it down up on the top of the heat plate so that it doesn't move as much. There we go, that's much better. Alright, now continuing with the wire, I'm going to start to move my way down. Now you have to be very careful as to where you pull on the wire. You have to make sure you're watching out for those ridges of glass that may be around the edge. If you put too much pressure, you'll cut into the digitizer. With the wire, it acts like a little, like the edge of a blade. It's very thin, very sharp. It'll cut right through anything. So if you're not careful, you'll cut into your digitizer. Now that's replaceable. It is replaceable if you do cut into it, but if you go too deep, you might get to the polarizer of the display, and if you do that, there really is no going back. So understanding how to manipulate the wire, with it being very slack, you might be able to see on one end while pulling on the other, is good to know to be able to do this repair. Now I wouldn't recommend doing this repair if you haven't done any other watch series before. It is not a repair I would say attempt on your own. You need to have a good amount of experience refurbishing any screen in order to be able to do this, even though I might make it look fairly easy. Alright, looks like we were left with a little bit of glue on the display, so we're going to go ahead and rub that off. And as long as you're gentle and carefully rubbing, it'll eventually come off. So take your time, make sure you're not putting too much pressure on any part of the display. They are flexible to a certain extent, but if you put too much pressure on it, you'll break it. And these displays are crazy expensive. I think right now they're around $300 for a new display, something like that. Maybe that'll change down the road, but anyway, I'd recommend, if you're going to attempt this, to have previous experience, because it's not buying a new display is like buying a whole new watch. So, alright, looks like we've almost got the rest of it off. And there might be some details that I don't cover in this one that I do in my other video of the 44mm Series 4. So go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. And I also cover more details in the Series 1, 2, and 3, as well as in the Apple Watch, the iPhone X repair. Now what's really cool, if you look very carefully, you might be able to see the lines that go vertical and horizontal on the face of the digitizer that are actually the touch screen. So there you might be able to see the lines going up, and if I turn it you might be able to see the lines going sideways. It's kind of cool to look at the way that the digitizer works for the touch screen on the display. Alright, so we're cleaning this using acetone and a clean room wipe to get it nice and shiny and clean. The next thing we've got to do is prep it for putting on the new glass. Another good tip is to test it out and make sure you're working with a display that isn't damaged and a touch screen that doesn't need to be replaced. So I recommend connecting it. They're a little tricky to get back in, especially without the glass on. You have to be extra careful not to put too much pressure on the display. But as long as you're gentle and pushing these connectors in, which I really dislike these connectors, they're a little tricky. You'll be able to eventually get them back in, making sure nothing's in the way, and then connecting and clipping down the tabs there. I burnt myself there on my finger, so try to ignore that. Soldering and slipped the soldering iron, hit my finger. I haven't done that before, so it kind of hurt. Twice, I did it twice, like 5 minutes. It's like, you kidding me? So anyway, that hurts, but hey, you know, things happen. Alright, let's go ahead and turn it on, see if it works now that we've got those 3 connectors connected, and we'll clean up the display. There we go. We'll make sure the touch is working. Looks like it's working just fine everywhere. So we'll go ahead and turn it off. We'll go ahead and disconnect the connectors once again and get working on installing the new glass. Be very gentle with these connectors. They are small, they are fragile, so take your time, know what you're doing if you're going to disconnect them like I did there. Alright, one of the things that helps is to have something to prop it up, so I like to use just whatever I have lying around that's smaller than the display. I've got this little plastic piece that I'll prop it up on so that we have an elevated surface in order to allow the glass to settle. So we'll go ahead and put a decent drop of the Loca, it's a liquid optical clear adhesive, on the center of the display, and we'll clean off the inside of the glass, making sure it's free of dust, and then we'll gently apply it down, making sure we don't get any bubbles in there. We'll let gravity and naturally pull the glass down, causing the adhesive to spread to every corner naturally. I like to not rush this. I like to have it naturally flow where it wants to go, ensuring that I won't get any bubbles in the future. If you were to apply pressure and try to solidify it, you might get bubbles. So there we go. It's all the bubbles are gone. We'll make sure it's completely aligned, and I like to flash it a couple times with the UV light just to help start the solidification process. And once I'm satisfied, I'll go ahead and hit it really hard with the UV light, making sure I hit every single section for a couple minutes or so. Go ahead and protect the front now as we flip it over so as to not scratch the glass. Sometimes we have glass shards on the table, and we want to make sure we're not doing any damage, especially seeing as I'd like this to, go back to the customer without any issue. Alright, so while we'll wait for the inside and the outside of of that to cure because we have a little bit of spillage. I'll go ahead and clean the inside. There we go, nice and clean. Alright, the next step is going to be reconnecting and making sure everything still works nice and perfectly. And I'm going to leave the light, the UV light on the inside, just to make sure that the little bit of loca that has come around the edges is completely solid and isn't going to cause any issues with the device. I like to allow it to have a good little seal around the edge there of the display, just to make sure that there aren't going to be any chance for bubbles to appear in the future. We'll go ahead and slowly wiggle each one of these connectors back in and connect the connectors down, and then again test it out and make sure that everything's working properly, that we've got a perfect display, a perfect touch screen, that there's no issues, no bubbles, no dust, anything like that. Alright, here we go. We'll go ahead and turn it on. Pull off the protector so you guys can see what it really looks like. Beautiful. Alright, now that I know that it's working, we'll go ahead and adhere the glass down to the frame and make it all beautiful. There we go, it's all done. Go ahead and test it out one last time before calling this a day. If you'd like to send your watch in for repair, you can contact me at the email provided in the description. If you have any questions or would like to do it yourself, let me know and I'll be there to help along the way. There we go, Series 4 40mm glass only repair on the Apple Watch Series 4. Thanks for watching, you guys.